Wow. Instead of hitting the button that makes the camera come on, I hit the button that makes the song stop. Wow. I feel like I need to restart it just so we all get the... Yeah, hold on. Here we go. I feel like if any day I needed the ability, I want a 5-point harness on this chair so I can strap myself into it for days just like this. I can strap in and I need a gear shift, not for the chair, but for myself to show that I am going into high gear, going into overdrive, afterburners, lit, and ready to take on whatever might have happened. I don't know. Anything that might have happened today that we need to talk about on the live stream. Yeah. Here we go. Oh, I can't imagine what might have happened today. Does anybody know what size GPS mount I need for the Mark IV 10-inch FPV frame? No, is that not the most relevant question that we need to cover today? I don't know. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, no. In case you're not paying any attention and you're wondering what the chat is talking about, okay, I want to start by saying I was right, and Yeah, about some things. And I think we should start every conversation by focusing on the things I was right about. I was right. I said, and have been saying for, I think 2 months or so, roughly 2 months, that DJI was going to get added to the entities list, that it was inevitable, that the fix was in from the beginning, that the way that the 2025 NDAA was worded was constructed to make it essentially inevitable that DJI and Autel, I believe, would be added to the entities list. And essentially, that would result in a ban of new products coming into the country because they would no longer be able to get FCC certificates. And other people said, you don't know. They could still do the security review. And I was like, well, it doesn't look like anybody is going to do it. And there's not time to do it, even if they were going to do it. I don't think that's possible. You don't know Bardwell. Bardwell, you always, the president will save us. We all know that the president will just like create a crisis. And then at the last minute will snatch. The president will tie you to the tracks. And then just as the train's coming, the president will swoop in and snatch you off the tracks. And everybody will be like, he just likes drama. He likes to, it's like when I was in high school and people would go, 2 for flinching. The president basically likes to 2 for flinching the country. Right? That's like, I'm going to outlaw something. I'm going to outlaw it. Oh, you flinched, Bardwell. What a loser. What a nerd. You thought I was going to do it. 2 for flinching, Bardwell. Except when he does 2 for flinching, we all just get, prices just go up by 10% on everything in the entire economy. 2 for flinching. And long story short, DJI is on the entities list a day early, I might add. It was supposed to be the 23rd, the 24th.
Is it?
What's that?
Is it on the entities list? We're talking about the covered list today, but I don't know about the entities list.
Is that not this? I can't keep the list straight, Blunty. Are they the same thing? There's a covered list and there's an entities list?
Correct. The entities list is the Department of Defense or somebody. The DHS, I'm not sure, but the FCC has a covered list, and that's what can be approved or not, and that's
okay. Well, let's presume that I set that confusion up because I wanted to make sure we could explain it to the people, and not that I legitimately got that wrong. So technically, there's still 2 more days for me to turn out to have been wrong about DJI going on the entities list. Is that what you're saying?
I believe that is correct. Yeah.
Oh, there's still hope for you, Internet. Daddy Trump could still 2 for flinching us. Oh, I thought I was going to ban DJI, 2 for flinching. And all the brave people who trusted and didn't flinch and just let that fist approach their face and went, I believe, I have faith. Those people will turn out to be right for 2 days for DJI. Oh, right, day before Christmas, a little Christmas miracle. So there's the covered list. And the covered list, Blunty, the FCC covered list, says you can't get an FCC certificate. The DoD entities list also says you can't get an FCC certificate. Is that right? No?
I don't know about that.
So the NDAA, the 2025 NDAA, which says that DJI will go on the covered list, not the entities list. Have I been mixing these up all this time? This is a hell of a way to end a tirade about how I was right.
I need to see. I believe it is the covered list that it goes on to. I'm not sure about entities list.
Oh.
Hold on.
Oh, let's double check that. Well, I'm going to get a splinter out of my hand. The live stream, the perfect time to do that. All right. Let's get that straight. I mean, that's really relevant. The covered list. I thought it was the entities list. I may have been mixing them up this whole time.
The entities list is that one that was threatened by like at least Stefanik and stuff like a year or two ago that we talked about that wouldn't actually affect consumers. It only affects the government when they add something to the entities list, because then it bans certain government employees from purchasing it. But the FCC covered list is what prevents certification by the FCC for Part 15 and similar.
Okay. The reason we're talking about the covered list today is that today DJI was added to the covered list. And in fact, the memo specifically references the National Defense Authorization Act. So presumably that's what the NDAA was talking about. Set the entities list aside. Guess it's the covered list. Let's see, Blunty. Get me a link. Blunty, I know you have it handy. Can I have a link to the actual PDF of the announcement? You got that? Drop that in the Discord for me, please. Thank you, sir. So today, this came out. Long story short, I was right, because this is the thing that the NDAA threatened to do, and it happened today, December 22nd. Because this explicitly references that, I think. Today, released, Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau announces addition of uncrewed aircraft systems and UAS critical components produced abroad and equipment services in Section 1709 of the 2025 NDAA. See, that's the thing that I've been saying was inevitable, this part, to the FCC covered list. We'll cross-check that entities list versus covered list later. But here's why everybody is freaking out. Not me, I'm fine. I'm good. PSHSB announces the addition of uncrewed aircraft systems and UAS critical components produced in foreign countries to the covered list. In addition to those entities listed in the FY 2025 NDAA. Wait a minute. I thought DJI and Autel were supposed to be added to the covered list. What does UAS and UAS critical components produced in foreign countries mean? Oh, well, easy. There's a definition at the end of the document. Uncrewed aircraft means the meaning found in 47 CFR 88.5, an aircraft operated without the possibility of direct human intervention from within. Oh, so it's a UAS. And UAS critical components means these, not including but not limited to the following components and any associated software. Data transmission devices. Well, that's just about everything. Communication systems, flight controllers, ground control stations, navigation systems, sensors and cameras, batteries and battery management systems, and motors. So any foreign manufacturer of those things has been added to the covered list. And what people are asking, and the question that I think we need to address right now is, does that mean that basically a fearful person would say, well, basically everything I use to fly FPV is now can't be imported. I don't think that's true. We're going to talk about why. But if people are freaking out, that's why. Blunty, does that seem like the right sort of overview of what's happened?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Most of chat is freaking out because they think motors and flight controllers and everything is banned starting now because Madstech made a video about this. So,
okay. Let's talk about this. Yeah. There are various ways in which this is not a freak out, run around with your head, like a chicken with his head cut off, so to speak. Sky is falling. There are certainly ways in which a person might read this and go, wow, that's pretty weird. What does it mean? But speaking specifically to Madstech's video, which I haven't seen, I only just learned about this, about an hour before the live stream and have been sort of researching it since then. This is the FCC covered list, the Federal Communications Commission. The FCC covered list means that one thing, basically, that anyone on the covered list can't get an FCC certificate. Do motors need an FCC certificate? They do not. Motors don't transmit radio signals. So it seems like this list of definitions might have been just copied from somewhere else. What is a UAS critical component? Well, for the purpose of this determination, and then I would guess or speculate that they just pulled this list from some other document which defined the term UAS critical components. Or they had, AI write it. Dear Gemini, what is a UAS critical component? I don't know. And they just copied it in here without editing it. But clearly, the FCC has no jurisdiction over batteries, over motors, over cameras, navigation systems, right? Ground control stations. The FCC only has jurisdiction over things that need an FCC certificate. I would even go so far as to say that Part 97 equipment like analog video transmitters. And Blunty, I'm curious if you have an input on this. Part 97 equipment like analog video transmitters, they operate under Part 97 but don't require a certificate like a Part 15 device does. Would you say that a Part 97 device that complies with all the requirements of Part 97 would, if it was on the covered list, that it couldn't be used or couldn't be imported? Not a lawyer.
I'm not sure, because Part 97, it just falls under Part 97, right? It doesn't actually get authorization as equipment, correct?
Exactly. That's my understanding.
I believe you're correct then. Part 97 is still fine, but Part 15 doesn't work because Part 15 is a certification you need to get. And just to be clear, the FCC still views this the same way. I put a link in the Discord for the other document they released, which is a press release, like a news document about this. Mm-hmm. And on page 2, they redefine what this is, what a covered list is, just to make sure you understand it.
So I'll click on that in just a second. Sunshine points out, if you haven't seen Madstech's video, Madstech didn't say the sky was falling. Just that people that didn't see his video are running and saying, Mads released a video, we're screwed and the sky is falling. Fair enough. I haven't seen... Sometimes Madstech does say the sky is falling, and sometimes he's right. But I have a few times in history thought, the sky isn't falling quite as much as he said it was. So I don't know. Let's look at this document. But I haven't seen the video, so fair enough. Let's hedge that and make sure we don't accuse him of something he didn't do. FCC, here's a fact sheet. Okay, I'm just now seeing this for the first time. I haven't seen this.
So if you go to the second page, it's very clear.
Okay. The FCC's covered list.
The FCC's covered list is a list of communication equipment and services that are deemed to pose an unacceptable risk to the national security of the U.S. and safety and security of U.S. persons. And then you skip down one. Equipment on the covered list, covered equipment, is prohibited from getting FCC equipment authorization. Most wireless devices require FCC equipment authorization prior to importation, marketing, or sale. Covered equipment is banned from receiving new equipment authorizations, preventing new devices from entering the U.S. market. I mean, I think it's very clear about what this does, and that's what this does. So as you said, a motor doesn't need that. So a motor doesn't count. Motors are listed because they listed a bunch of definitions, and who knows, maybe this will be a way they can deny a drone later because the drone's got a Chinese motor on it, right? Who knows? But this does cover specific things. They didn't make up new ruling, right? There's no new wording in the document that explains how the new equipment authorizations would work. There's no new parts referenced. There's no new things submitted in the register, stuff like that. So I would say that those components are just a symptom of how they built it. Now they may be an indication of what they want to do.
Yeah, so let's shift gears then from the sort of legalese, and although we're not lawyers, but trying to read to the best of our understanding the legal interpretation of these. The legal interpretation of these statements, it might mean that there might be challenges to importing new devices that need FCC Part 15 certification, which for the sake of FPV, like if you're talking about, drones, like, DJI style drones, then it's all of them. But for FPV hobbyists, it might be things like, Blunty, you and I looked at Express LRS receivers. RadioMaster Express LRS receivers have Part 15 certification, although no one else's do. So it's a question of whether that's actually required or not. And not much else. A lot of other devices that we use in FPV either they rely on the Part 15 certificate of, like, if you take an ESP32 chip and you put it on your device, that chip has Bluetooth on it, but you don't need certification for your device because that chip already has the Bluetooth baked in, and presumably, I guess, it has the certificate. So actually, RadioMaster is getting those certificates because their receiver also transmits, I guess. But there aren't a lot of FPV hobby components that actually have Part 15 certification. But setting aside the sort of legal interpretation, practically speaking, I think the impact on hobbyists is going to be largely zero, because all of the stuff we buy, like, is all so under the radar anyway. I don't see anybody even noticing or caring. And so the real question is, what do they mean when they say, what is their intent behind this? And I think the intent is clearly to boost the fortunes of American drone companies and American drone manufacturers. If I was a company in the U.S. that makes drone components in the U.S., I would feel like this is a signal. And again, who am I, right? I'm not an MBA. But I would feel like this was a signal from the administration that they're going to have my back going forward and going to make it beneficial for me to make money. I assume that the companies that are going to be the ones making the money will be ones who have ties to the administration and have ways of, sort of saying, hey, don't you think it would be a good idea if we were, the ones to do this? But right now, it seems like the ones who are clearly on the up and up are the American drone manufacturers. Yeah, that's how it seems to me. What does that mean for hobbyists? I mean, again, I think it's extremely likely, just like the DJI O4 air units weren't getting into the country, and now you can buy the Flywoo air unit, and they get into the country. And DJI is definitely at the top of the visibility chain in hobby components. Like, do you really think that this means that you won't be able to get a SpeedyBee flight controller or a GEP-RC video transmitter or a TBS video transmitter? I doubt it. Yeah. I don't see it.
Yeah, just remember that, like you said this, but just to be clear, like almost every Special RS piece of gear you own, other than some RadioMaster gear, does not have an FCC certification. And technically, legally, it should have been sold to you with an FCC certification. So, because it's sold to you as a hobbyist, not as a ham operator, right? So
yep.
Just to be clear, we don't know how much this changes because we don't know what's actually going to happen. We don't know about enforcement. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, if they're going to knock on stores' doors or send emails or whatever, right? But in technical rules, it doesn't change that much for us in how it applies to what we've been doing, other than DJI gear and stuff like that.
So DJI drones, like DJI drones specifically, and I think it would be easy to say any foreign-made drone. I don't even mean like FPV bind and flies. I feel like they fly under the radar, but like drones from companies like, DJI, Autel, who else? I can't even think of them. I think it's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. Whether American companies like Teal or Skydio or Neros come to mind, whether those American companies will have trouble getting foreign components, I don't know. Probably not. FPV bind and fly quads don't have FCC certification. The video transmitter is a Part 97 device, and the receiver, I don't even know. But they just don't. We just use them, and So, I'll say this, and I think we're going to move on. The wording was a little bit shocking in its scope. Like, we expected them to say DJI and Autel are added to the entities list, and maybe they would also say, oh yeah, and we're going after these drones that already got certificates. But for them to just say all foreign SUAS and SUAS critical components are added to, even if adding them to the covered list doesn't really, I keep saying entities list. I apologize. I should not do that. Even if it has no practical effect, for them to cast such a wide net definitely is eyebrow raising. But I don't think we're going to know what it all means. And I think that's a thing that we have also seen, which is like sometimes with this administration, they do something and you don't know what it actually means until 6 months down the road. And sometimes it plays out exactly like people said it would. I don't know, but how about that? There you go. Anything else, Plenty, you think we need to cover before we move on?
Not necessarily.
I'll say one thing. Here's a question we don't know the answer to yet. Do you remember when, I don't remember exactly who got hit, but the FCC hit some stores for selling video transmitters over 1 watt in power? Because there was a limit. There's a limit, 1 watt of power for telecommand of an RC aircraft in the Part 97 rules. And the FCC fined GetFPV, it was one of them. They fined them for some 1.3 gigahertz video transmitters, which were not legal to use, but also for selling 5.8 video transmitters over 1 watt. I can show you the PDF where that's all written down. I've looked it up in the past. I'm not going to do it right now. You just have to take my word for it. It was GetFPV also. Hobby King was the 1.3 gig for sure, but GetFPV specifically got dinged for the and the only reason I say that, Blenty, I'm so positive about this because there's a footnote in that PDF where they specifically reference Part 97 subsection whatever that is telecommand of an RC aircraft. And it is the only time we have gotten a concrete indication that the FCC considers the video transmitter to be part of telecommand. But some people had previously argued that only the control link was telecommand and that the video link was not telecommand. It was just sort of a video link. And the FCC fined them for going over 1 watt and referenced that subsection. So I remember this very, very vividly. It was Hobby King, certainly the 1.3 gig video transmitters for sure, but it was also GetFPV. And after that, all of the FPV retailers stopped advertising video transmitters over 1 watt, except if they were a retailer or had a website specifically about ground vehicles, they would advertise it. But on the FPV, on the drone side, they would just say max power. They wouldn't say 1.6 watts. And that's why all the video transmitters nowadays, in the US sites, they don't list the output power. They just say 1 watt plus, but they don't say 1.6 watts because they don't want to get fined. It would be interesting to see if any stores start dropping any products that they think might not be legal to sell, even though sort of technically, and then hobbyists end up having to go to AliExpress and foreign sites and ordering because of that. It's too soon to say. You would need to probably give them a few days to talk to their lawyers, but it'll be interesting to see. If I wish I had a statement right now from a GetFPV or a Pyrodrone about how they think this is going to affect their ability to procure parts. So, anyway, there you go. That's where we're at. Hobbyists are pissed off right now. United States drone companies are seeing dollar signs, I'm sure. Go ahead, Blenty.
We should bookend this by saying we're in an era right now where things can change overnight.
That is true.
This is a wildly written document, as we've talked about. It includes a lot of components that aren't included in what the FCC can cover. It includes a lot of language that doesn't make a lot of sense. We have a couple lawyers in chat, not speaking as a lawyer, as speaking as people, but saying like, hey, this doesn't make a lot of sense, lawyerese-wise.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth it to point out that this could change tomorrow. Definitions could change tomorrow. Like
there absolutely will be lawsuits, right?
Like the word foreign is not defined. So the
Yeah,
word foreign means any country that's not the U.S., but NDAA product can be made in countries that are not the U.S. So does this actually not include NDAA product? Like there's a lot of pieces to figure out here. So just to be clear about that, like we're discussing what we've seen.
All the companies who moved manufacturing from China to Thailand to Croatia, etc., trying to be NDAA compliant, are now fucked. And like also, they're gonna sue. They're absolutely gonna sue over this. So
I just think we should be clear about that, right? Because who knows? But that's how it reads right now. Also, if you go look at the covered list, they did update the official covered list. Now, whether that will stay, how enforcing that is, who knows? But the official covered list is changed. So
yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, we got questions coming in. Let's answer questions about FPV stuff. Is it okay to mix KV, and how do I turn off RPM filters? If you mix motor KVs, the entire drone will basically act like the lowest KV motor that you've got. Your top power will be limited by the lowest KV motor. That's more or less the case, as long as the motors are not too wildly different in KV. How do you turn off RPM filters? I don't think you should do that. RPM filters make your drone fly better. If you want to turn them off, it's in the PID tuning tab, though. Don't do that, though. My drone doesn't take off. It does a little jump and then does nothing. Yeah, if that happens to you, you need this video. Quad insta-flips on takeoff. 4 reasons why and how to fix it. Is that what it's doing? Maybe not quite that violently. Ooh, that's a good one. Okay. Yep. I intentionally made those as dramatic as possible, but that's basically what your drone is doing, and this video will show you how to fix it. There are basically 4 reasons why your quad is doing that. It's always one of those 4 reasons, almost always one of those 4 reasons. And that is what you need to just go through the check and figure out which one of them it is. Chad Connolly says, I have a set of V2 goggles that don't have video, but I can hear the fan and see the backlight. Sounds like they're broken, friend. I have reflashed firmware twice now, tried WTFOS with no luck. Yeah, they're broke. I don't know what's wrong with them. Sounds like they're broken. I'm sorry. I feel like you want me to tell you how to fix them, but like, I don't know. Is the screen broken?
Oh.
Yeah, Blunty. You got an idea?
All I can say is, I would just say if you can't proceed with this and you're stuck, I would possibly reach out to Mads Tech or look at FPV Wiki for that kind of information, because they have a lot of teardown information on that kind of DJI gear, and he might know like troubleshooting steps or things you could do to maybe check a little deeper.
Like maybe the screens aren't broke or something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if they reflash, so they're like not entirely alive, but I mean, you're in the I'm gonna open it up now and see what's broke. But I gotta say, I feel like for most people that would just be the end of the goggles. It's like new goggle time. Okay, we got a bunch of questions about the FCC ban. I got some super chats here. Here's a super chat from 8Fun. 8Fun, thank you so much for doing the comments. Doing the chapter markers for the live streams. I really appreciate it. 8Fun, a lot of the time, not every time, but that's okay. Nobody paying him to do it. So goes through and makes chapter markers for the live streams when he watches the live streams, and it really helps people who watch the live streams. I would like to point out that anyone can put a comment in the comments with the timestamps of the chapter markers. If you watch the whole live stream, just write down the timestamps or something to put in a file, and I will copy them into anyone, that'll just work, but I'll also put them in the description. So thank you so much for that, 8Fun. Stella Davila, says, "Hi, I bought a Recon 3 Nano long range, but I can't make it hover. How do I learn to fly this?" Hovering is really hard. I have a Learn to Fly series from 2 years ago. Wow,
way back.
Longer than I would have thought. Learn to Fly an FPV drone today for total beginners. It is a series of videos where I take you through learning how to fly. I will tell you, though, hovering is kind of almost harder than going forward. I recommend you learn to fly in the simulator, and we will go through all the steps of learning to fly, and then hopefully at the end hopefully you'll be better than you were at the beginning.
Way back in 2015, I made a video.
Got a bunch of videos about this, so I suggest you check that out. Learn to Fly an FPV drone today for total beginners by Joshua Bardwell. Give her a look. Iric Toft. Thank you, sir, for a $10 super chat. And for the cookies. Iric is semi-local to me. He's about an hour and a half away. And his HC0 goggles were having the problem where the jog wheel doesn't work. And your menu is all screwed up. And he came over. I loaned him a set of goggles. And he brought me a big bowl of chocolate chip cookies. And that's what friendship is about, isn't it? Elliot, I think I got your question about mismatched KV earlier, but thank you for the $2 super chat. And here's a $20 super chat from El Chingon. Just a small thanks for all the time you've taken out. Oh, thank you so much. No question. Just a $20 donation. I love it. Thank you so much, friend. Okay. Jen Consumer asks, can we use a DJI O3 antenna instead of an ELRS 2.4 gig antenna and for the O4 Lite? For the O4 Lite, yeah, you could use a DJI O3 antenna for the O4 Lite. Yes, you can. The O3 antenna is dual band. I don't think you're going to get the best performance out of it, but I suspect it'll work and you won't damage anything, though. Samir, you are breaking the car. Says my barrel was covered after doing conformal coating. Is it necessary for auto landing? Or can you do it with GPS altitude? I would recommend that if you covered your barrel with conformal coating so it's not working, you go into software and disable the barrel so the flight controller knows your barrel isn't working. Otherwise, the barrel and the GPS will give conflicting data, and I'm not sure what the outcome will be. Beta flight doesn't need a barometer to do. It can do, but it will do it badly because GPS altitude is very noisy. iNav requires a barometer, and RGPilot requires a barometer. Betaflight, however, will work with just a GPS only. Is that true? I know it doesn't need a compass. Does it need a barometer? I think it doesn't need a barometer. I'm not 100% sure, though. I think it'll work. But I guess I'm not 100% sure. FPV Candy. Thanks for being a patron. This question comes from the Discord server. Patrons do get access to the Discord server if that's the kind of thing you're into. If you earned Goggles X and a SteadyView module for analog, would you get by with that? For analog experiments would you get by with that for analog experiments or stomach $600 for dedicated analog goggles? You know, I probably would just keep the Goggles X and the SteadyView module and probably be okay with it. $600 is a lot for dedicated analog goggles. But it depends a lot on how much $600 means to you. To some people out there, $600 is, that's just like, oh, that's what I'm going to get for FPV this month. In which case, yeah, go for it. Good set of dedicated analog goggles is going to be better. But, for most people, $600 is enough that I would probably just keep using the Goggles X and probably be okay with it. Thank you, Richard FPV. Says, thanks for taking a look at my FPV scanner app. Oh, yeah. Richard, where's the link, Richard? Post it in the in patron-only chat. Richard showed me this. I appreciate that you didn't need to do the super chat, Richard. I appreciate it, obviously. Richard showed me this app, and I said, hey, remind me about this on the next live stream. I think this is cool, and I want to show it to the live stream. So this app is an FPV frequency scanner app. Oh, no, not the music. I'm going to kill the music. It's an FPV frequency scanner app. You buy this little dongle that plugs into your phone or your computer. And it's simple, but it's cute. It scans the FPV spectrum for transmissions. Oh, no. I didn't mean to do that. It's like a little spectrum analyzer, but not. It's got the channels. It's FPV-centric, so it's got the FPV channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, right? Helps you with the channel map. And just, if you're like, oh. Now, you may be thinking, well, my analog module can do this. Most analog modules have a scanner function where they can basically do the same thing. They don't do this, though. They don't let you name the pilot on the channel. If you just want to see, hey, is there a transmitter on the channel? Most analog goggles already have that function built in and duplicate this functionality. But this is a cute little dongle for your phone. It's $40. If you hear that and you go, no, I don't want to spend $40 on that. Yeah, I get it. But if you're like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I'll blow $40 on that. You can buy it on the Etsy store right here. What? Okay. Come on. Give me. You can buy it on the Etsy store. There's a little FPV scanner. That's cute. Is it $40? No, now it's $50. I thought I remembered it being $40. Everything gets more expensive when I cover it on a live stream. Maybe I misremembered the price. $50? So, Richard, you're here in the chat. I'll ask, because I got to, this question's coming to my mind. I don't want to be rude to you, but I also, I don't want to be a shill. I appreciate the donation, but it doesn't mean I'm going to curb my sense of curiosity. What do you say to somebody who says, well, I have a TBS Fusion, a Rapid Fire, a Steady View, whatever. My analog goggles can already scan the frequency, and they show me a spectrum graph pretty much just like this. Why should I spend $50 on this? And I feel like that's a fair question to ask because, like, if you go on Shark Tank and you're like, hey, I got this product, the sharks usually don't go, this is great. Oh, let me buy it. Sometimes they do. They ask you questions. They're like, why should we ask you hard questions? And you have to be prepared to defend it and to, like, justify. Why should someone buy this? So what would you say to a person who asked that question? Now we'll have to wait for him to answer. It shows you the last 10 minutes of triggers for each channel. Anything else won't show you that once anyone unplugs. That's interesting. So the idea is, if someone was on channel 1, but then they unplug and you're checking channels, you don't know that they're just about to go back up on channel 1. But this app will track 10 minutes of triggers and show you, hey, 10 minutes ago, somebody was on channel 1. Slick, that's a feature. What else you got? Or if they fly away and your goggles don't know they're coming back. Slick. What else? Wi-Fi noise? So the goggles will show Wi-Fi, but they may not be the best at it. They will show that. This specifically identifies Wi-Fi devices. Does it distinguish? Does it try to identify this is Wi-Fi, that's FPV? Can it tell the difference? No. Okay. Anyway. It's a cool little app. It's a cool little thing. If you feel like spending I feel like $50 might be a little high. I don't know what your cost is on it. I feel like when it was $40, I know it's only $10. When it was $40, my thought was, I could see somebody blowing $40 on this. At $50, somehow to me that feels like, I don't know, that's like half of $100. I don't know what your cost is, what your profit is, but if it was $35, man, that 3 in front of the, it starts to be a lot more of a screw it, I'll blow it. Anyway, it's your product. You decide what you're going to sell it for. Yeah. I'll put a link. I should put a link to in the chat. Here is a link to the Etsy store, and here is a link to the promo video if you're interested. It's already in the Discord. Anyway. Elliot, thank you for your donation. One more dollar. Elliot. Oh, no, don't debug. What are you doing? Don't debug. Okay, my shit is broken. I've lost all my... Uh-oh. Blunty, social stream just crapped out.
Yep.
Hold on.
We wiped. I lost them all too.
Okay. Are they just all gone?
I don't see anything.
Oh. Wow. Yep. They just lost all the questions. That sucks. I'm not sure what just happened there. It said Social Stream has started debugging this browser, and then all the questions went away. Oh, that sucks. Wow. Okay. Let me see if I can at least make sure we didn't lose any super chats.
Yeah, there should be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I'm looking. Viewer activity. We got a super chat from Ziake27. Thank you for 10 euros. RadioMaster teased new upcoming transmitter in their Instagram page. What are your thoughts about it, and what might be continue off? We'll take a look at that. RadioMaster Instagram page. They teased it. No. They teased a new transmitter. Oh my god. Oh no, we can't even view somebody's Instagram without logging in. Oh yeah, let me just get my 6-digit authentication code. Yeah, this is great. I wouldn't want to be able to view anybody's Instagram. I do have 2-factor on my Instagram because I'm a celebrity.
Hey, I'll just say, folks, if you haven't had your question answered yet, you can ask it again in chat, because I will need to requeue it.
Yep. Normally, we don't like people spamming the chat. Yeah, please save my login info. Okay, hallelujah. So we got this. What is it? Some people think it looks like a new version of the TX12 with a big screen, kind of like the TX15. We don't know. Evolution of the Legend.
So, I posted in the live stream chat.
Mm-hmm.
They sent out a email marketing for this.
Yeah.
And they leaked or at least what the demo name in the URL is the TX16 Mark III.
Oh, so it's a TX16 with a big color screen.
That's what it says on the marketing email.
Gimbals.
Like it's TX16 Mark III.
Nice. I was just talking about whether they would do a Mark III of the TX16, and I said I didn't think they would. I said if they did, it would be a completely redesigned radio. But I didn't think they would call it the TX16. I thought it would be like the TX15. Yeah, well, there you go. Bardwell was wrong again. Love it. I love being wrong about this kind of thing. Yeah. So TX16 with presumably, the question is, will it be dual band? The TX15 was only single band, which kind of, it's dual band, but not Gemini. Is that right? Am I remembering that right? I think I am. Yeah, it's dual band, but not Gemini. So this also does not look like Gemini because it only has one antenna. So it'll probably be dual band, 1121. 1121's the way to go these days. Very cool. Yeah, I like it. Big question about price. I mean, the thing is, it feels like it will compete closely with the TX15. My impression was that RadioMaster would, not be chasing after. The TX15 is so good. The only reason to get a TX16 would be if you want more switches and knobs. And I'm like, how many FPV hobbyists really want all those switches and knobs? I didn't think there would probably be much market for a TX16 in a world where the TX15 existed, but I guess RadioMaster disagrees. Excuse you. Thank you for a $10 super chat. I want to update my bind and fly. GepRC Vapor D5 from Betaflight 4.5 to 12/2026. 2025. 12/2025. 2025.12. For pause out hold functionality, can I copy paste the CLI without worrying about the PID tune messing up? No, you cannot. There is at least one part of the PID CLI that will make a problem because of the difference in the way that they handle dynamic D. The dynamic D has changed in a way that if you copy your old CLI in, your D gain will be way too high. I don't know if there are any other issues. In general, you cannot just dump a 4.5 CLI dump in to a 4.6 or 2025-12 quad. It's mostly okay, but not 100% okay. So that's the actual answer. Are there other gotchas that we don't know about, that I don't know about? I don't know. That's the other thing. What I would do if it was me is I would copy paste in the aux modes, the OSD. I would copy paste the ports tab. Like, I'm sure there are lots of parts of it that are fine to copy paste, but I would not copy paste the PID tune. Drone View Pilot, thank you for a $10 super chat. Thanks for everything you do for the FPV community. Your dedication, knowledge, and passion truly make a difference, and it doesn't go unnoticed. It's genuinely appreciated. Thank you so much. It's very kind of you. I do. That means a lot. I feel good when people say that stuff to me. And that, Natter FPV, thank you for a $5 super chat. My Fat Shark HDO2 got fried, and Fat Shark doesn't do repairs anymore. Is there anyone you know who could fix them, or somewhere I can get new internals? On the HDO2? Like the old ones? I'm sorry, man. If Fat Shark doesn't make internals for it, I'm not sure what to tell you. I think you're out of luck. Yeah. Elliot is saying, Elliot with the $1 super chat is saying, how can I turn on RPM filter? Yeah, absolutely. You didn't want to turn it off. You wanted to turn it on. Elliot, you're going to go to the Motors tab. You're going to enable... Well, it needs to be set to D shot. I can't do this in virtual. Hold on. I need an actual flight controller. Hold on. There we go. In the Motors tab, you're going to enable bidirectional D-shot. And when you do that, you will have RPM filters. That's the short version. It automatically sets them up once you enable bidirectional D-shot. Going back to this question from Natter FPV about the fried HDO2. If Fat Shark doesn't manufacture that part, I don't know where you can get it. Somewhere out there, there's a person who could like desolder the diode that burned or whatever and replace it. Like, they probably are repairable by someone on Earth, but I don't know how to point you at that person. So this is, I mean, once the manufacturer drops support for the hardware, it can be very difficult to keep the hardware going. Thank you, El Chingon, for a $20 super chat. We got that. And the last one is going to be from Partha. I can't say this person's name. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to say your name. But it's a 40 rupee super chat. And they ask about the Yahuwah 928D4 versus SI S012 versus S99 versus S60P soldering irons. So I have actually been shopping for soldering irons right now, lately. And unfortunately, I can't really, like, I don't know enough about these specific models to recommend one to the other, one of them to the other to you. The Yahua 928D, Yahua in general makes good soldering irons at a good price. I don't know the 928D specifically, though. The Secure S99 and S60, I have used those. They're good. They're fine. The S99 versus the S60. One's more expensive. One has the more advanced operating system. One has the simpler operating system. I believe they have the same tips, though. And then the SI012. I don't even know this one. I don't even know this one at all. Oh, the Secure SI012. Yeah, see? So I don't know these, but you're asking which of these do I like better? Powered PD 3.0 input is good. It takes both the long and the short tips. There's a new style of tip that is the long style tip. I like that. It's $57. Excuse me. This D60 is also $57. But it is a less sophisticated iron. So between those two, I would take this one. I think the S012 is coming out as the winner. Yeah. The Yahua plugs into the wall. No. So I would want the S012. I think I would take the S012. Without having done a huge amount of in-depth research, just based on what I'm seeing here. I like the fact that this takes battery power, whereas the Yahua plugs into the wall. This one can also take USB 3.0 power, so I could run it off of the wall using a USB power adapter. Easy enough. It takes the long and the short style. Those are the TS100 style tips or the newer long style tips. So, yeah. I would probably take the S012 for that reason. There you go. Okay.
Can you click back on Livestream chat in the Discord? Thank you.
Thank you. Yep. I have. It looks like it's loaded up plenty. It didn't look like it was behind. Is it updating?
It's been pulling the chats from the patron only.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes, because I clicked over there to... Okay, yeah, my bad. Great, here we are. People have started showing up late to the stream and are asking, what about this new FCC thing? We talked about it for like 25 minutes at the beginning of the stream. You can rewind the stream if you want to see that. Does your sub 250 frame fit the new Flywoo 04 Lite camera? The new Flywoo 04 Lite camera that's this, the 04 wide. I actually have one of these. I actually am working on the video right now. And this thing comes with a 18 millimeter and like a 22 millimeter, 21 millimeter adapter. This 18 millimeter adapter will basically fit anywhere a standard micro camera will fit, including my sub 250 frame. So this will actually fit better than the 04 Lite by itself, because this adapter here will make it fit better. So yes is the answer. We have a 3D printed, I believe, is what we've done. Where do I install the camera? Yeah, here. So we have a 3D printed adapter. And if you have the 04 wide, you do not need that 3D printed adapter. So let me see if I can get a good image of it somewhere. Yeah, that's the best one. It's not in focus, sadly. But you can see, here's the camera with these side plates on it. Instead, you would just use this printed thing here. This thing is amazing. It even reinforces the cable, so it should hopefully make it less likely to break. Although, you know, who knows. It wasn't jumping violently like in your video. Jimmy G. Long, going back to the question about the drone that hops in the air when you arm. Again, I may not have looked exactly like that because I intentionally made those ones in the video as violent as possible so the video would be interesting. If it just goes and disarms, it's one of those 4 things. It just is. Have you experimented with the Flywoo 04 wide kits very much? I have, but I have not gotten to fly them yet. Today, I went to fly them for various reasons for the last, 5 days. As I've gone to fly them, something has made it so I couldn't fly them. Today, the plumbers showed up and looked at my plumbing. And like every time when a tradesperson comes to my house, they said, "This is completely effed up. Who built your house, dude?" And for those who have never heard this story, my house was originally built by a man who was a general contractor. And rather than subbing out the work to the people who knew how to do it, he and his sons basically built this house themselves. And if you know anything about general contractors, you have an idea of just how effed up everything in my house. By the way, my house is amazing. I love my house. I love living here. My house has been very good to me. It's one of the best houses I've ever lived in terms of, but every time I have to work on it, I know that I'm going to find some cobbled together disaster. And nothing is to code and yada, yada, yada. So when the plumbers were like, wow, this plumbing is they used regular tees instead of sanitary tees in a whole bunch of places where you're supposed to use sanitary tees. Again, if you don't know about plumbing, you have no idea what that means. Blunty, do you know what a sanitary tee is? I bet you do.
No, I have no idea because we never did anything to code either.
So when you have a water pipe, you have a T fitting, and the water just goes into the T fitting, right? But when you have a drain line, like a septic line for your toilet, you want the stuff to come down, and you don't want it to just come down to the T and go. You want it to go whoosh downstream. You want it to be shooed along its way. And so a sanitary tee has kind of like a bend to it, whereas a straight tee just goes thunk, thunk, like for pressurized water or whatever. I don't know why you would have a 3-inch straight tee, because what is 3-inch PVC used for except drains? But regardless, be that as it may, you're supposed to use sanitary tees. Oh, I know why. Because if it's a vertical, then you can use a regular tee because it doesn't matter because the stuff all just falls. I don't know what the rules are, but there are rules. And so, there's all kinds of ways where my plumbing is effed up. And when I was getting ready to fly today, the plumbers showed up because I've been having a problem with my plumbing. And they were like, and the minute they looked at my plumbing, and I've had plumbers out to my house before, and they've gone, oh, well, we think it's this. And they do one thing and it doesn't fix the problem. And then they're like, I don't know. And they leave. The minute this guy showed up, and he immediately went, oh, that's not right. That's not a sanitary tee. And look, that looks like about 3/4 inch per foot, but it should be only 1/4 inch per foot. And then it's not right there. And he immediately started engaging with the problem of my plumbing. And I was like, oh, this is the guy. He didn't show up and go, it looks like it's going to cost me $500. I think I'll get a scope out. We're going to look at your drain to see if we can clean it out. We'll have to see. This guy loves plumbing. And he immediately started, not in a rude way, but just in this kind of a like, I love plumbing. Look at all the things that are wrong with this way. Telling me all the ways my plumbing was fucked up. And I was like, oh, you're the one. Like, yes, I know it's fucked up. I don't know what's wrong with it. Right? I did not have any feeling like he was just making up. Like the mechanic goes, oh, this is going to be expensive. I didn't think he was like running, like everything he said. I was like, no, that seems right. Yup. But he was so engaged. And then he was like, wait, where does that go? Where does that go? That can't go there. Oh, and it was like a mystery. He was so excited to have found my fucked up plumbing and to like figure it out. I was like, oh, this is the guy. Anyway, this guy is life. He is in the right line of work. He loves plumbing. Anyway. Yeah. So. Yeah, immediately was like, you're my dude. Whatever you tell me, I'm going to be okay with. Anyway. So, no, I have not had a chance to fly the wide. Hopefully we'll do it tomorrow. I'll tell you one more thing. I love working with people who are good at their jobs. Even though it's jobs like that I don't know anything about, or it's just, I love being in the presence of someone who is clearly a master. And one of the things he did is, in his head, he figured out where all my plumbing was. He was like, okay, I can see this pipe here. I know that goes to a toilet and that goes to a sink. I know that there's a toilet and a shower and a sink on the second floor. I know there must be a pipe that gets there. Where is that pipe? What wall is that pipe in? And he starts figuring it out. And he's like, okay, you have to have a vent. Where's the vent? Is it in this wall? He's looking around with his flashlight. And he's like mapping out every aspect of my plumbing mentally, building a map. And I'm like, I do that for drones. If you hand me a drone, I know that you've got the motor, the ESC, the flight controller, the receiver, the video transmitter, the wires have to go. You have to have a wire going from here to there, right? And I will mentally start mapping out your drone, and I'll figure out where it's broken. And he built this mental map of where all my pipes were in my wall, you know. He was like, wait, no, that can't be it. It's only a 2-inch pipe. That can't be the drain. And I'm like, oh, I love watching this guy work. It was so satisfying. Anyway, he's going to get back to me tomorrow and tell me how much money it's going to cost to fix my problem. I may not like him as much then. Last week you recommended getting the TBS Source 1. What are your thoughts on the new V6 frame? TBS Source 1 V6. So the great thing about the Source 1 line is whichever version of the Source 1 you want, they still make it. The V3 is widely considered to be the best by, well, old people. People who don't like new things and change. But the Source 1 V3, here's what it looks like. It's very dated in its design. When you see it, you're going to be like, oh, that's old. It's simple. It's robust. Maybe get one with like 5 millimeter arms instead of, what are they, 3 millimeter arms? Yeah. Arm thickness, 4 millimeter arms. So like, it's definitely not a modern design, but it's a simple and basic design. It's $25 freaking if you can still get it. You know? So like, no complaints there. But the Source 1 V6 just came out. And, you know, I like it. I like this way of, I think this is probably the best way of mounting the camera. It protects the camera. It has adjustable up tilt. And this is a nice, smart way of integrating the front end with the top plate. Right? Little standoffs here to sort of sandwich and box it in. You know, it's okay. Good thick arms. If I objected to anything, like the little thin parts here, Like, something about this kind of rubs me maybe the wrong way. But this part of the frame isn't usually subject to much stress anyway. It's the bottom plate that gets all the stress usually. So it's probably okay. They probably knew what they were doing. Like this right here, this cutout here, that seems to me like a stress point like that. I'm like, I probably wouldn't do that. I'm not even sure if that was that for the VTX antenna, I guess. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Like, I probably would take that out. Same thing on the bottom. This is a high stress area. To put a U-cut there kind of makes me think, that's probably going to develop some stress. I don't like it. But, you know. Hey, it's open source. I could just take that out and cut it myself. I'm not going to do that. It's a good frame. The source one is always a good frame. And it's 30 fucking bucks. Excuse my French. Excuse my swearing. Sorry, French people. $30. What do you want? You're not going to get better for $30. No doubt. You ever heard of Astro RC? I'm intrigued by their Project 301. Jacob Newbert, are you with Astro RC? Got another $2 super chat here. Project 301. Astro RC. What's Project 301?
Put a link in chat
battery
to the best I can figure out. Okay, so
15-watt peak power.
All right, here's what I can figure out. From what I can tell, they're selling batteries with an AMAS connector like we use on the motors to connect the 3 motors up.
Oh, okay.
So they're selling them without a balance connector, and then they're selling little boards and adapters that allow you to plug in the AMAS, and so you don't have a balance connector on these batteries.
Spectrum does that with some of their batteries, their land batteries. You get a 2S and it's got a built-in. I have those for some of my RC cars. You know, the problem is, of course, now you need a custom adapter to charge it, which is annoying. You know?
Yes.
Now I didn't mind it so much. For example, I didn't mind it so much when it was the V-Fly Whoop Store with the Beta FPV3 plug. The thing is, for this kind of battery, you know, it's like, for this kind of battery, these little 550, 750, 2S, come on, there we go. Whatever. This kind of battery, I'm more likely to just have 5 or 10 of them and then have a dedicated charger like this that charges all of them. At which point, the fact that it's got a custom plug, you know, I've got this one charger, it charges all of them, and I'm like, all right, I'm in. I'm in the ecosystem. So, in this case, we've got an oddball plug. Okay. Instead of one charger, I've got one charger per battery. Does this charge 2 batteries at once? That would be cool. Oh, it looks like it does. That's okay. I feel like... Yeah, go ahead.
They've got another little adapter like this, but it goes into a 4S balance and an XT60. So then you charge 2 batteries plugged into a charger like it's a 4S.
Is it basically just a series adapter?
Yeah, kind of like, but it's meant to plug, yeah.
So the question would be, what problem is this solving? And the problem, I guess, is the loose balance plug that gets chopped. I suppose.
Technically a little bit of weight, right? Probably because the AMAS connector offset with the balance connector.
I'm not sure which is going to be lighter. Yeah, I couldn't say which is going to be lighter. It's cute. It's cute. Yeah. What I would like is, I would like an adapter that takes this and turns it into a 2S plug and a balance plug. So I have the option to charge this on a standard charger if I so desire. I don't want to buy your charger. Maybe that option even exists. That would be very easy to make. Project 301 battery charger. Unbalanced head. Oh, charges off the balance lead. That's the other thing. For a lot of these batteries, you could just charge off the balance lead, for God's sake. Right? You're only charging, and the balance lead can easily handle 2 amps. And it's just a 750 battery, so you're charging at 2 amps. It's, a little more than 2C. So, like, charging straight off the balance lead, But, it's good to have options. It's good to have options. That's kind of slick. Jacob Newbert, we're literally talking about it right now. Aren't we, Blunty? We're literally talking about it right now. Thank you for the $5 donation, Jacob Newbert, and the $2 donation, and the $2 donation. I shouldn't be annoyed that someone is... He managed to not be watching the stream in real time. He's super chatting. Jacob, we're not talking about it yet. Keep super chatting. Leave bigger super chats. We'll get to it.
I'll say one thing about this versus other things we've seen in the hobby is that this is not introducing a new connector. It's introducing a connector that is existing and has stock and a company, produces and stuff. So that's interesting.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, for this 560 mAh, like, do you need this big of a connector, or could you be using a BT 2.0 or PH? I guess not. This would probably be an XT30 connector. So, yeah. That's cool. I'm not mad at it. If somebody wanted to buy it. I guess another thing is that you're really relying on Astro RC to produce your batteries. If Astro RC goes out of business or stops making this product, now you're just basically dead in the water unless you start putting your own connectors on there. Well, anybody could have done that at any time.
Yeah, I think if I was buying this, I would probably be using a normal charger with that adapter they sell for the 4S for 2 batteries, or this USB thing. And then just like, if they go out of business or you change ideas or you want to buy other batteries, you have a way to charge those too,
Yeah, I like it. The thing with custom battery connectors is if you have to solder them on yourself, it's oftentimes not really worth the trouble. So it's the ability to buy the batteries that makes it, convenient. So. Yeah. Not having the balance lead to get into the props on these small things, as Crom points out, is a big deal. Yeah. Cool Al Chew. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you for $5. Quad flipping out. Mine did this when I dumped the Betaflight 4.5 CLI into 2025-12. Persisted even after I applied Betaflight PID presets. The only solution was a reflash. Yep, that's why I don't think you should paste the CLI from 4.5 to 2025-12. Can you expand on the D-gain differences? Oh, sorry. And what needs to be adjusted when upgrading? No, I can't. I don't remember the detail. I'm sorry. I don't remember. All I can tell you is I don't think you should do it. I think what happened, PVAS, if I remember right, they got rid of dynamic D term. And it used to be that, like, there was D and then dynamic D. And now there's only D, right? But the dynamic D was like the highest D could go, and D was like the baseline. And now if you paste your CLI dump in, you'll end up with your D gain permanently being at the highest value it can be at, when it should be at the lower value. That's the best I can tell you. Would the 04 Lite be a good replacement for the 04 Pro if you're trying to get more range and larger batteries in a sub 250 quad? Yeah, absolutely. The 04 Lite is the closest thing to the 04 Pro. It's not quite as good, but it's close, and it's lighter. So, yep, 100%. I mean, what else are you going to go with? The 03? Tornok says, I got the 04 wide from Flywoo, and I got the version that has the VTX and camera as one, and with that version there is no calibration error. How did Flywoo get rid of that? Easy, Tornok. So the calibration error happens when you replace the camera with an aftermarket camera. On a DJI O4, this was also true on the O3, if you replace the camera with an aftermarket camera, you get this calibration error, and it never goes away. And also, stabilization doesn't work. I believe that is because the gyro is not correctly calibrated. Stabilization doesn't work. The way that Flywoo is getting rid of that is when you buy the camera, and they're just buying an O4 Lite from DJI as a unit and then doing the mod on the camera. They haven't replaced the camera. So there's no calibration error because the O4 Lite and the camera came together from DJI. So yeah, that's a big motivation. If you're going to buy the Flywoo Wide O4, you should either buy the lens by itself and modify your existing O4 Lite so you don't get the calibration error, or you should buy the whole air unit pre-modded from Flywoo. But there is a way you can buy just the camera. If you buy just the camera and swap it out, you'll get the calibration error because your camera is not calibrated to your air unit. And I would not recommend doing that because that's annoying and also makes your stabilization not work. That's a hell of a 3D model. Look at that knurling. Sheesh. Look at that knurling on that camera. You can really see. Is that the threads? Oh, yeah, that's the threads. That is a detailed 3D model. My God. That is satisfying as hell. Look at that, Flywoo. I like your website. Yeah, satisfying. Very nice. Download that 3D model. Hand shoes and horse grenades. Just replaced a stack. The receiver won't pick up my radio's input. I've checked the wiring, the UARTs, and reflashed with Crossfire. If all you replaced was the flight controller, then we can assume that the radio and receiver are not the issue. It must be in the wiring or the flight controller configuration. Unfortunately, digging, there's no oh yeah, there's this common thing that people always overlook. You mentioned flashing with Crossfire. That's the common thing that people always overlook. But since you mentioned that you've done that, I don't have another one. I would try a different UART, just because you never know. Yeah.
Just to be clear, I think one of the most common issues I see is people making assumptions like the one you just stated. Just because it was working before and you changed the stack doesn't mean nothing else broke. You might have the ARM switch activated and you didn't realize it. You might have changed a setting in your models. You might have switched models on the radio. You need to go in, if you're using ExpressLRS, you need to go in the ExpressLRS Lua through the tools menu. Make sure both the radio and the receiver are on and check in the top right corner of the ExpressLRS Lua script for a solid C. If you see a flashing C or a dash, something is wrong. Flashing C means you're connected, but you have an error at the top of the screen. It'll be showing you a flashing error. I think you should check both of those and make sure they're not involved. If you have a solid C, then ExpressLRS is good to go, and you can check the rest of the stuff.
Blunty, do you know anything about that calibration error? I remember with the O3, sometimes you could go into the DJI Companion and calibrate it, and it would fix it. And other times, the calibration error would just never go away, and there's nothing you could do. And, Flywoo has a warning up on the product page. 04 wide camera set. They mentioned this calibration error somewhere. Oh, I don't want to add a bookmark. Damn, I know they mentioned this calibration error. Maybe it's in the printouts. And like just that, you just have the calibration error. Sometimes it won't go away. Do you know anything about that? Anything to add? I think that sometimes it just won't go away. Or you can't get rid of it with an aftermarket camera.
Yeah, so
there
if
we
you go to...
Yes, an error display will occur.
Okay, yeah. So basically, I think it depends on what you get,
Yeah.
Like,
well,
but I do think it's maybe generational too. What I remembered seeing was there's an issue with if you have an IMU error. It's on one of the systems.
Oh, yeah. It was the IMU error.
If you have an IMU error, that's not fixable. But if you have a calibration error, then you could go through the activation process again or update, and then it would then it would calibrate.
They were buying the cameras from like the Mavic or the Avata or something, and they were repurposing them into 03 cameras. And you would get the IMU error, and you couldn't fix it, depending on who you bought the camera from. All I can tell you is this. Flywoo says, if you buy the 04 wide camera set, an error display will occur. They don't say, and then go into this menu and calibrate and it will go away. And I couldn't find a way to make the error go away, although it might exist and I just might have missed it. Because
I suspect if you could clear it, they would be letting you know.
That's my point.
Yep. Also, if you go, I pulled up the page for the 04 Lite camera as well, the replacement 04 Lite camera, and it says the same thing. Please note that during use, you may notice an unremovable prompt on the right side of your goggles.
Unremovable. Yeah, there you go. It says unremovable. So I don't know why you can't get rid of it, but unremovable prompt. It says it does not affect the performance in any way, though. So maybe that means that the stabilization still works. I only said stabilization doesn't work because the 03, if you got the IMU error, stabilization didn't work. Maybe that's not the same for the calibration error, though. So maybe I should retract that. Yeah, there you go. Camera calibration error. Functions normally without any impact. Okay, well, seems like if stabilization didn't work, that would be an impact. So it is annoying seeing that error all the time, but there you go. It's render and it confirms stabilization does still work. Okay, good to know. Gyroflow worked on the 03, yes, Kaipi, but it didn't work if you had the IMU error. Oh, hey, Plenty, how's the voice quality been? Is it glitched at all?
Good.
No glitches?
And solid. Super solid. For those of you who don't know, we've had a background issue where sometimes JV gets really crazy and robotic to me, and I can't really watch him while we're streaming. But today,
ha ha ha! I have fiber. I have fiber now. Finally, LCUB fiber got to my house. I am now gigabit internet up and down. Woo! Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy. And it means I can start shooting content in 4K, which I don't think you will notice any difference. So what I do right now is I shoot content in 1080 because I have to upload it to Dropbox and then Fabio downloads it, and that would take a ridiculous amount of time if I was shooting in 4K. But then I render it in 4K and upload it to YouTube because YouTube has better image quality if you upload in 4K. So you're seeing 4K content that was originally shot in 1080. And I'm willing to bet after all the internet does its interneting, you won't notice a difference. But the next content I shoot, I will shoot in 4K. Fabio will be very happy because he'll feel like a real, video producer, and maybe the image quality will be even better. I don't know. I'm very, very excited. I had the option for 2.5 gig, but I thought that would just be greedy. I was happy to have 1 gig. 1 gig up, 1 gig down. And I went to my son, because my son, I've told him, hey, we're going to get fiber soon. And he seemed, he's like, oh, I download a Steam game. It's going to be faster. I went to him. I knocked on the door of his room, and he was, I heard he's like, AFK to his friends. He takes his headphones and his microphone off because he's talking to his friends on Discord. And he's like, what? What's up? I'm in the middle of something. I'm like, go do an internet speed test. He's like, why? I'm like, Dylan, go do an internet speed test. He goes to his computer, does an internet speed test, 500 megabits per second down. He's like, what does that mean? I don't know. And I'm like, it's way faster now. Be abreast. He was like, okay, great. Can I go back and talk to my friends? How is $65 a month? Dave's 3016. $65 a month. Community fiber is the way to be. Yeah.
I'm so sad. We had that in Denver.
Oh.
I paid 60 flat, and then it was like locked in. Oh, it felt so good.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot about Denver that was better than Alabama. But there's a lot about Alabama. What's your internet now?
Spectrum. I get like 100 down and 5 up or something.
Oh.
It's cable, so it's not symmetrical. I miss symmetrical.
I had 100. I had cable. It's 120, 100 down, 20 up, which was like, oh, like make it symmetrical, you piece of shit. Oh my God, the FCC has banned all drone parts. Banned. We talked about it at the beginning. That's not what happened. Go back and look. Yeah. Anyway. Go back and watch the beginning of the stream. Yeah. I had a Unreality FPV says I can get 1,000 down, but only 50 up. Yeah. So Comcast left me a flyer once. Excuse me. I've had a cold this week and I'm not entirely over it. Oh God. Pardon me. And Comcast left me a flyer that said, Gigabit internet now available. And I went and I got on, I was on a chat with the guy. He was like, we have gigabit in your area, sir. And I said, gigabit, what is it, like 1,000 symmetrical? And he was like, no, not symmetrical. I was like, well, what's the, he's like 1,000 down, 25 up. And I just went, really? Really? And he was like, I know. Like, I was like, how could you even live with you? Like, I understand you're just a guy on the phone, but like, how can you even live with yourself selling gigabit internet and it's 1,000 down and 25 up? Like, how do you even live with yourself? Like, how can you even say that with a straight face? Nobody who needs 1,000 down is okay with 25 up. No one. Anyone who's using 1,000 down, it needs more than 25 up. So. Anyway. And he was like, well, we can put you in contact with our business. And I got a hold of somebody who said, yeah, we can give you like business internet. And it was like, I don't remember. It wasn't fully symmetrical, but it was better. It was like gigabit down 200 up or 100 up. And it was going to still be, $500 a month with a 2-year contract. I was like, you guys are completely out of line. And I'm so happy that my electric company put this fiber in, and I'm going to cancel Comcast. Comcast has been fine, but like, this is so much better and so much cheaper, and they need to freaking get with it. Anyway. Oh, would you need to run a Beck for the 04 Lite on a 6S? Yes, the 04 Lite maxes out at 11.1 volts, I believe. 11 volts. 3 volt. 3S. Check the specs. You cannot run the 04 Lite on 6S for sure. It will fry. Shoot FPV says, I've got 90% of my Christmas shopping done. How ready are you for Christmas? I'm ready. I got all the Christmas presents for the kids and the family. I know my wife isn't watching this. I got my wife. She better not be watching this, but I'll show you guys. I got my wife some of these. Aren't those cool? I hope she likes them. I think she's going to like them. She'll pretend to like them anyway. Yeah. So... low light performance is noticeably better on the 04 wide camera. Wow. I guess because the wider lens sucks in more light. Yeah, so I got presents for the kids. Got presents for the wife. I believe that she bought me a watch. I know for a fact she bought me a watch. Because she said, I was like, ooh, because we always like, it's hard to buy presents for somebody you've been married to for 20 years. Because like, you know them so well. But also at the same time, you know, we kind of just buy what we want for ourselves most of the times. So, like, for me to buy her something that she hasn't already got for herself, you know, but it's got to be exactly what she wants. And I said to her, we were sitting around, I was like, ooh, you can give me a watch for Christmas. Because, you know, I'm into watches, but there's lots of watches that I haven't bought for myself. And I was like, you know, I'll make a Pinterest board and I'll put some watches on it. Any one of them I would be happy to receive. And you pick the one that I'll pick ones, I'll put a whole bunch of them. Some that like just caught my eye, but that I wouldn't normally get. And so it'll just be a wide variety. And then you pick one that you think you would like to get for me. And then it'll be nice because it'll be something different. It'll be something that you got me, and it'll maybe be one that you specifically like, because she's not that into watches. She's like, I don't know, it's a watch. Or some of them she's just like actively like, oh, I don't like that one at all. So it'll be like, you know, it'll be a nice present. And she was like, a little while later, she was like, hey, if you order something from outside the country, how do the import fees work? And I was like, well, you're going to get an email from DHL or UPS, and they're going to say you have to pay a tariff. And if you don't pay the tariff, then they return it. So you got to make sure you keep an eye out looking for that. They're just like, oh, okay. And then she said, how long, you know, would it normally take for something like that to ship? And so, like, I could tell that she bought one. I think there's a chance that it, like, hasn't shipped or hasn't come on time. Or maybe she's leading me on, and it's actually here, and she's just trying to make me think it hasn't come. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure she bought me a watch for Christmas, so that's exciting. Let's see what I don't know what it's going to be. Have we spoke about what happened today? Thank you for $10. Yes. It was the very first thing we talked about at the beginning of the stream. We talked about it for about 25 minutes. I would encourage you to rewind the stream and go back and watch that. Thank you for the donation.
There will be a clip up tomorrow morning.
Oh, for sure. On the Livestream Clips channel. I'm trying to lose weight, says Sunshine. Thank you for $10, Sunshine. Should I go with the FCC ban or the lap ban? Oh, I see. It's a joke. It's a dad joke. Thank you, Sunshine. I'm so interested in FET Tech and KISS. I fly Betaflight. Is it worth the change? Yes, absolutely. Wade Cloyd. The only reason people still fly Betaflight is because they've never tried FET Tech or KISS. The minute you try FET Tech or KISS, you will vomit the moment you're like I've flown FET Tech and KISS, And after I did it, I realized that if I did not find a way to like inoculate myself from how good it was, that I was going to lose all of my views and all of my followers and all of my money. Because like people like Betaflight, they support Betaflight, and if I told the truth about Fetek and Kiss, then I would just be out of a job. So after I flew Fetek Kiss for the first time, it was like a vampire. I touched a Betaflight flight controller, and like literally blisters broke out on my fingers. And so what I would do is every day, first of all, I took all my Fetek and Kiss stuff and I put it in like a box and I buried it in the yard. And I put like a pet cemetery gravestone over it. And then I surrounded it in garlic and holy water so it couldn't get to me. And then I started making videos where I shit-talked Fetek and Kiss as much as possible. Right? Kind of like, you know, when you tell all your friends you're on a diet to help keep you honest. The more that I shit-talked it in public, like the more I knew that I would not be able to change my mind without, you know, looking like a fraud. And then every day I would get a Betaflight flight controller and I would like, I would hold it in my hands just a little bit longer. And the pain, it was like one of those monks was just whipping himself into a religious fervor. The pain is pleasure. The pain is truth. Until I forgot about how good Fetek and Kiss flew. Even now, talking about it, I have to be very careful not to talk about it too much because, you know, I could relapse. That stuff is still buried in the yard. I bet I could get it on a quad and fly it again. And now, you see, I can hold a Betaflight flight controller with no pain, no suffering. I can put it on my head, nothing. I can put it up against my genitals even. Very sensitive area, almost no burning whatsoever. And I've forgotten all about just how much better Fetek and Kiss are. But I have unusual strength of character. You may not be able to do that. So if you just be aware that if you do fly Fetek or Kiss, it's a one-way street for most people. You're not coming back from that. That ends. You know, you look at the videos of the people in Portland or Seattle or Philadelphia, and they're just out on the street doing the fentanyl lean, you know? And this is like where their life has brought them. That's what that first hit of Fetek Kiss Ultra is like. That road, it ends, except instead of being like zombified on the street, you're like doing Mr. Steel flips all over the town and your wallet is empty. That's, so, you know, just make sure you know what you're getting into. That's how I would answer that question. It's like the Fetek fold. That's how I would answer that question. That's also going to go on the live stream chat tomorrow. Oh. Oh. Are we done yet? Oh, man. Oh. Oh. My goodness me. I bought the JB Sub 250 QAV2S kit as my first build and have been having a problem when I do a backflip. It freaks out and I lose control. That is probably a motor or ESC issue. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be giving away this flight controller that I put down my pants. I'm going to be giving it away on Livestream. It did touch my balls. Entries are $100. Yeah. It's going to be for sale on my OnlyFans. That's a Jackson Farhart. That's a motor or ESC issue. I can't say for sure whether it's your build or whether it's a hardware problem. It could be a problem with the ESC or the motor. Theoretically, what I would do is I would have you reach out to Get FPV support, and they will like walk you through the troubleshoot to see if you have a defective ESC. It is one of the things that could cause this would be if you had a defective ESC from the factory. Since that's a possibility, I want you to reach out, because if that is the thing, then they should send you a new ESC. But I'm being very careful with my wording because I don't want you to call them and say, Bardwell told me my ESC was defective and you would give me a new one. Pay up. I want you to just say, hey, just like you said to me, when I do a backflip, it spins out. Can you, and you know, I just want to see if possibly you think this is my fault or if it's bad hardware. And they'll say, send me a picture of your solder joints, and they'll ask you some questions. And then they will make a determination if it's bad hardware or not. But it's possible you have a bad ESC from the factory, in which case you should get a new one. Oh my goodness. I've exhausted myself. Oh, this thread has been too much. Oh, my chronometer's been running this whole time because I've been I was baking a loaf of bread for dinner, and I timed the bread in the oven, and now the chrono's still running. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. See, chrono's still running. Oh, I got a deployant clasp for this one. I got I modified this strap to a deployant clasp. Yeah, real nice. Very nice. Thank you for a $5 super chat. This is my entry to not be entered in the ball-touched flight controller contest. You have been entered into the ball-touched flight controller, Michael Julio. You're getting it. You said you're getting it. That's it. Thank you for $5 from Hand Shoes and Horse Grenades. I've got a solid C on the radio's Lua script, and none of my switchers are working. Do I try a different UART? If your sticks work, but your switches don't, no, stop. Do not change anything. Everything is working. Your receiver is working. The UART can make the whole receiver not work. It cannot make some of the channels work and not others. So what's probably happened is that you haven't mapped any of the switches. By default, in EdgeTX, the switches may not have been assigned any function.
You said the sticks do not work at all.
Oh, switches aren't working, sticks aren't working? Well, then I would check the wiring. Is your wiring correct? TX to RX and RX to TX? And I would check in the ports tab that you have the correct UART enabled with serial RX. And I would check in the receiver tab that you have ELRS selected as your receiver type. And I would confirm that you have colored bars in the receiver channel instead of empty blank bars. Those are the things that you need to check to make sure that Betaflight is configured correctly. Those are like 3 or 4 things that need to be checked.
Also, a common issue, if you've got a DJI unit, you want to remove the S-bus wire, because earlier he said he had to flash for CRSF, and typically you do that when you've got a flight controller shipped in a BNF with S-bus on it.
Yeah, that's true.
So my guess would be DJI unit needs to have the S-bus removed.
Yeah, good point. Thank you, Gray Hat, for $5. I saw something on Facebook about key drone components being banned. I tagged you on the post with the article. Is this new or a threat? No, what is this? I haven't heard of this. Drone parts ban. Oh. FCC bans all drone parts. All drone parts USA-wide. No one allowed to fly drones anymore in USA ever. Oh, wow. That is pretty extreme. I don't even know what we're doing here. Pack it up, everybody. We're done. This is it. It's over. My new channel is going to be about pens. We're going to be talking about pens on the channel. This is the Pilot fountain pen, disposable. Yeah, I'm getting word that the FCC has banned Pilot disposable fountain pens. No, we talked about it at the beginning of the stream. It is new. It is new. We talked about it for like 25 minutes at the beginning of the stream. Rewind the stream. Thank you for the super chat. I was tempted to just completely, just like literally just walk out on the stream and, you know, delete my channel. Gray Hat switching to pinball. Sorry, Gray Hat. I wasn't making fun of you specifically. I just thought it would be a funny bit to do. No, I'm not going to go to pinball. What would I go to? I mean, watches isn't really a hobby. Like, I mean, obviously it is a hobby. Building watches is a hobby. I don't think I'm going to get into like watch maintenance. Like what I would get into would be, you know, maintaining and building and modifying the movements, taking apart a watch movement, putting it back together. That's, you know, that could scratch that itch. I don't think I would do that. I don't think it's quite up my alley. Pinball machines, I like working with my hands for sure. That's for sure. Wristwatch Revival, love Wristwatch Revival. I don't know how good Wristwatch Revival is as a watchmaker. I hear people criticize him and say he makes mistakes, that if you did what he did, you would mess things up. Or there are things he does that real watchmakers wouldn't do. Or he like misrepresents things on YouTube for entertainment purposes, which like, oh my God, who does that? But I enjoy watching his content for sure. Wristwatch Revival, very exciting.
It'd be fun to get like
the word for it. But yeah,
pinball and arcade machines and like work on those, like work on the boards and
the mechanical aspect. It's mechanical, it's electrical. It does have some overlap for sure. Schizo got into them for a while, didn't he? He played them for sure.
The biggest issue is storage space. I mean, at least for me.
Yeah.
I mean, even in a house, it's like, where am I going to put those?
Yeah, fair. You kind of need like a pinball room. I could find a place for a pinball machine. I have dreamed sometimes about, you know, when I have all the money in the world, getting one of those arcade cabinets with like an emulator in it that has like all the games. I've thought that would be really fun to have. Like at a party. You know, like the problem is if you have a party and there's like 5 people at the party and one of them's playing the arcade cabinet, that's like, you know, that's antisocial. You need a party that's big enough that you have like 3 or 4 or 5 or 8 people like crowded around the arcade and 25 other people all over the house, which I don't know if that's ever going to happen at my house. But in my head, I have one of those upright arcades with like 4 joysticks, and you can play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and X-Men, Simpsons, and, you know, other games, fighting games, you know, Golden Axe. Oh, yeah. But I see how expensive they are, and I like, it's just, I know that I would play it one time and never again, because I don't play video games now. So like, and I would put it in the living room and I'd show it to my kids and they would be like, cool, Dad. And I would be mad or annoyed that they were not as impressed as I felt like they should be, because they've never been to an arcade. They have no emotional attachment to upright cabinets. And these games all just look like old, lame, shitty games to them. They have no, so, yeah. I feel like overall it wouldn't work out for me.
You can put like Subway Surfers on there.
Something what do you mean?
Like that.
Is that a mobile game?
Yeah.
Oh.
Some kind of game the kids are into. They could play Fortnite.
They just play that shit on their phone though, or their tablet. They're not impressed by big screens. They just think it's weird that they can't play it while they're laying in bed. Like the kids these days are ruined. Yeah. I have a BL-Heli32 ESC. Can I somehow flash 32.10 on it? Nope. You cannot. You cannot flash a BL-Heli32 ESC today. The only thing you can flash is the experimental firmware that developers have, that manufacturers have access to and have been passing around behind the scenes. But I don't even think you can flash that. They can.
Yeah, I don't think there's any open flashing tool available, even experimentals.
Yep. It's just... What's OX32, Blunty? Is that new firmware we talked about on stream?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, new 32-bit firmware. Yeah. Retro handhelds, though, Abraham. That's right. Retro handhelds could be good. I remember I bought a Game Boy for myself with money that I saved up. And I brought that thing to school, and I would play that thing in between classes. I remember being so immersed in the Game Boy, the original black and white V1 Game Boy. So immersed in that thing. Yeah.
I played a lot of Game Boy Color. I was a Game Boy Color kid.
Ah, youngin'.
Pokemon Blue. Like, I played a lot of Pokemon Blue.
Yeah. Nope. After my time. I had moved on to like the SNES, but that was my only like portable handheld. I never got the Color. I was the only gaming handheld that I owned in my life, really. Was the original Game Boy. Tetris. I had this game where you were a gargoyle. Oh, I don't remember the name of that game. It was like a Metroidvania where you were a gargoyle. You had to run around. Do things. I had Final Fantasy 2, I guess, on the Game Boy. I remember
Unreality
playing that
says, did you choose
in class.
Bulbasaur? No, I chose Blastoise because it's the blue version, and I choose Squirtle. Why would you not pick Squirtle? That's crazy.
The amount of immersion you could get off of like such simple graphics, it was something. Jumper T15 bricked. DFU doesn't work. Thank you for $5, Isasan. DFU has to work, man. DFU is the way to get it back. If you reflashed it, the other thing I would have you do is I would have you reset the SD card contents. If you reflash it and you reset the SD card contents, that's all. That's it. There's nothing else to do. It's just hardware. The hardware is broken. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you can reflash something and the hardware is okay, right?
I mean,
So-
like the screen could be broke, I guess. How did it get bricked, Isasan? How did it get bricked? What aren't you telling us? Could you be flashing the wrong target? Not that you're not flashing. You have the Jumper T15. Are you flashing the RadioMaster TX15 target? I'm just guessing. Marco9900. Correct UART protocol, full duplex, TX to RX, firmware, Maytech, F405 WTF, WTE binds but has no movement. Wiring issue? I mean, here's the thing, Marco. Thank you for a $5 donation. It's one of those things, right? You tell me it's the correct UART. You tell me you have TX to RX. If I were looking at your drone, I would not take your word for any of that. I would verify it all myself. Not because I distrust you, just because that's how these things go. So, like, people will say, and they'll list all the things they've done correctly, and they say, and it still doesn't work. Well, like, you listed all the things. So it's one of those things, or something's broken.
I will say, you said firmware, but just to be clear, you also want to have Betaflight flashed for CRSF if you're using ExpressLRS. So if you go into the receiver tab and you have no color in your bars, so your bars are blank, then you need to reflash Betaflight for CRSF.
Fair. Marco, I would say email me and let's walk through it together in a way that we can't hear on the live stream. But email me. Let's walk through it together. Josh Shine, thank you for a $10 super chat. This is going to be the last one, then we're going to close up. Probably a stupid question, but do I have to get the battery recommended by Beta FPV for the Meteor 75 Pro 04? You don't have to, but that Lava V2 battery is a very, very good battery. I highly recommend that you get it. You need to get one that is the same weight and size and probably roughly the same milliamp hours. So I highly recommend you get the Lava 2 battery that they recommend because it's very, very good. And now, Ciati FPV is going to start streaming. And, yeah. We are going to wrap up here. Oh my God, Tropic of Capricorn. We've talked about it for like 25 minutes. Everybody here is well versed in the topic. You don't need to scream about it in the chat as if like we haven't heard about it. You're the first one here who's the stream. You come in at the very end of the stream to shout about it. Maybe Bardwell knows something we don't. I don't.
I think people expect us to have some kind of like thing on the screen with like a ticker that's like breaking news, and then we just sit here and then we wait for people to come in and we keep talking about the same thing because every 3 minutes somebody's like, why aren't they talking about it?
Yeah. Marco, JB at joshuabardwell.com. JB at joshuabardwell.com. Blunty, do the thing. I'm waiting for Blunty to do the thing. There you go. All right. Thank you so much, you guys. Oh, we'll see you next weekend. Or, you know. Oh, have a happy Christmas to those who celebrate Christmas. It's coming up in just a few days. We'll see you next weekend. Is next weekend New Year's, Blunty? No, it's not. So we're good to go next weekend, Sunday, Monday, per usual. When all of our parts will have been banned, and we will all have moved on to a different hobby. So a little assignment for the next live stream. Tell me what your new hobby is now that FPV is completely banned and the FCC has come and taken all your drone parts at gunpoint and thrown them into an incinerator. Yeah. Yep. Great. Bye, everybody.